Have you done that?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to YogaLeher GeetaMehek with Bharat FM. And we are also recording this session. So in case you want to watch it again, you can always watch it again. Today, we are going to do yoga asana and different things, whether it's Ayurvedic tips, whether it is sukshma kriya, which is subtle yoga, and also massage techniques for joint pain, especially knee pain, because a lot of us have knee pain. And once you are, these days, younger kids have knee pain too. So you can use some of this even for your children if they're playing games and they're having knee pain. And then for me also, I use them as in when, so I actually, a lot of the knee pain is not arthritis. So when we say osteoarthritis, which basically means the joint, each joint, this bone and this top bone. So every time there's a joint, there are two bones, there is fluid between the two bones. That fluid over time with wear and tear decreases. That is what is called osteoarthritis. So there is less fluid, they are rubbing against each other. That comes with much older, but a lot of us with younger, it is really misalignment of the joint, and it is this sort of the thigh muscle is getting tight. We are not stretching it enough, and because of that, the patella, which is a this bone right here, and if we look at it, this bone right here gets pulled up. When it gets pulled up, it kind of rubs behind this top bone, and that gives a lot of pain. So it is easily treatable. It is very common in runners, even if people are walking a lot but not doing some specific things. And even otherwise, we sit so much, we don't, even if you're doing stretching for like 10 minutes, the rest of the day you're not doing it. So it'll come on. And whenever it does, we can do certain things. You may also feel it if you're climbing stairs, or sometimes coming down steps, you may feel it. So if you're feeling it that day, you can do specific massages the same day. So before it becomes where this patella bone, if you don't bring it down, within a week, then it's going to start rubbing and thin out that patella. So then you really will develop some issues with that. So I think somebody is not muted on Zoom, so please mute yourself if you're not muted. Okay, so let's begin. We will begin sitting down. First, we will do the sukshma kriya or the subtle yoga, which we haven't done so far. And then we will do some strengthening poses for the quads muscle. So let's go with the sukshma kriya or the, so for that, let's sit down, or the subtle yoga. Lots of diseases have sukshma kriya. So once I now start doing more disease-based yoga, therapeutic yoga, we will do it that way. So let's take a seat, and you can push your butt into the socket. Let's just sit up front. If this is uncomfortable, you can always take your hands just back there, because right now in the beginning, we are not really doing much with the upper body. So here, our legs are straight in front. The knees together possibly. If not, you can keep it at distance apart, but together if possible. We will do tiny flexion and extension of just the toes. So here, I'm going to take my toes and bring it up. So even just that movement, we're going to keep it up for like 10 seconds. It creates the tiny muscles around the knee are activated. And then let's curl the toes. And then we do this for like 3 times, and we do it each time, hold each flexion and extension for like 10 seconds. Let's again fan out and extend the toes. So you can be doing this even while watching TV and strengthening your knee this way. And then let's curl the toes. And let's do one last time. Let's extend the toes. Just the toes, not the ankle, just the toes. Isolate the toes. And let's let's curl the toes. And now let's come back to neutral position. This time we are going to do flexion and extension of the ankle now. So now, keeping the toes just in the neutral position, let's inhale and flex the ankle. So now I'm going to flex the ankle. You will feel that when you flex the ankle, this knee is going to kind of pull up. So this will pull up the knee. Keep it for 10 seconds. And then let's extend the knee as much as it will go. Again, let's flex the knee. And let's extend the knee. Now here, we will continually be breathing in and out through your nose too. So bring your awareness to your breath too. Inhale, last time. Flex the ankle. Sorry, I think I might have said the knee. Ankle. Keep taking breaths gradually in and out through your nose. And extend the knee. Oh, sorry, ankle. I'm sorry, the ankle. Come back to the neutral position. And now we are going to do clockwise direction of both the ankle circles. So we will go clockwise, take it to the side, make a big circle just of the ankles. Let's do it 3 times in one direction. So you're going to do. Now, who would have thought this is also yoga? So what happens is sometimes when we start talking about yoga, it's all a fancy thing of doing big poses. But actually, these are very important. Okay, come back to neutral. Let's go in the opposite direction, anti-clockwise. So circle 3 times. And come back to the center. Now this time, what you're going to do is you're going to make a fist. So take your thumb inside, make a fist. And this fist, you're going to put it underneath your knee, you know, these knees. So like in that little socket underneath, just put that in the fossa. And then we will do one leg at a time. So you're going to be sitting up a little bit up front, finding that spot where you can. And now right leg raise up. So it's not going to raise up too much. So if you see from front, the right leg will raise up just a little bit. Now feel the amount of strength that your kneecap is using. So it's actually the kneecap comes up, the quads are getting engaged, and rest. Let's do it with the left one. So inhale, raise the left heel up, flex the foot. So flex the ankle. So it just raises up a little bit. And bring it down. Let's do it again with the right one. Inhale and raise it up. And then flex the ankle. So you will feel your quads engaging, your kneecap pulling up. So this is strengthening. Down. Let's do it with the left one. So raise up and flex the foot. So a lot of the knee pain comes from misalignment, from patella moving, pull too much to the right, to the left. So we're going to get to all of that. And down. That's the last time. Raise the right leg up. Flex the right ankle. And bring it down. Last one on the left. Raise the left heel. Flex the foot. And bring it down. This time, let's bend the right knee. We're going to hold behind the right knee. Once you hold behind the right knee, sit up tall. Inhale, raise the right leg up. So whether it's, getting raised, it doesn't matter how much you're raising. So raise, flex the foot. And gently bring it down. Let's do it one more time. Inhale and raise the right leg up. Flex the foot. And gently bring it down. This time, we're gonna do the same motion, but we're gonna bicycle it. So you're gonna inhale, raise the right leg up, and then you're gonna make bicycle motion. So 1, 2, and 3 in one direction. Let's reverse this. 1, 2, and 3. And lower it down. Let's flex the left ankle. Hold behind the left ankle. I'm getting warmed up already. Inhale. Raise the left heel up. Leg as straight as it can be, but don't have to be totally straight. Just let's stay there. And plant the foot down. Again, raise it up. Sometimes these yoga, sukshma kriya is very boring for the people. So that's why they like to do, they want to do the fancy stuff, which has become popular, but this is very important. You can even teach it to your parents. Now let's bicycle. So inhale, raise the leg up, and then let's do it one direction. 3 times, and then in the opposite direction. Sometimes I can do big, sometimes I do small. Okay, so that's pretty much what we will do with the sukshma kriya, and then we will do the other poses which are required for strengthening the leg and alignment. I will also teach you some things that during yoga can hurt the knee, and that's why we want to, so I want to tell you when actually while doing yoga you end up injuring the knee or twisting the knee, and then you have pain later. So let's all stand up. I'm going to turn on the oil. I am going to also teach you some massage, and for that I'll teach you how I do it. There is this candle warmer that you can buy at Target or anything like that. It's an electric warmer because you don't want to warm the oil in the microwave. It changes the molecular structure of the oil. So for massage, I have this, and I keep it in the bedroom or wherever. And then, I'm just going to put my oil on there to be warmed up by the time we start doing it. So let's stand up now. And let's come to the top of the mat. We are going to do certain exercises which are very helpful, and you can start adding them more to your daily practice. So let's bring either you can keep the toes together, touching each other, with the heels a little bit apart. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always keep it a little bit hip distance apart. So let's begin here. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, let's dive down. We're going to do a couple of warm-ups. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend over. Let's again do inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, bend over. Bend your knees, drop your hips. Inhale, come on up. Exhale to heart center. And let's go down. I think somebody on Zoom needs to mute themselves. So if you can please go ahead and mute yourself. Let's again inhale, arms overhead. This time you're going to go into chair pose. Exhale, bend your knees. See if you can sit into a chair pose. So don't need to go down a whole lot. The knees need to be over the ankle. Even I can't go down a whole lot. You'll do 3 breaths here. Take an inhale, exhale. Second, you can do it one more time. Inhale, exhale, forward fold. Inhale, happy lift. During happy lift, make sure you're not dropping to your heels. You're keeping yourself forward. Exhale, forward fold. Drop your hips, bend your knees. Inhale, come on up. Exhale to heart center. Let's do it one more time. Inhale, exhale to heart center. We're going to do part of the Surya Namaskar, but not fully. Inhale, overhead, slight back bend. Exhale, dive down. Now here, you can bend your knees quite a bit. Plant your hands next to your toes. Inhale, take the left foot back. Drop your knees. Let's do a little bit of stretch on your left quads. With sukshma kriya, use your left quad. So let's take a couple breaths here. Curl your toes again. Inhale. Hold your breath. Take the left foot back. Come on forward. Exhale. Knees, chest, and chin to the mat. Keep your elbows tucked in. Inhale. Upward facing dog or cobra. You can be here. You can be here. Exhale. Down, down. Let's little bit cycle our feet here, pedal it out. This is a good pose to warm yourself up. From here, we are actually going to do the warrior poses. Why the warrior? Warriors are great for alignment, and they're also good for strengthening the quads, which is very much needed for your knee stability. Inhale, bring your left foot forward. Plant your right foot at a 45-degree angle and come on up. So here, it's very important that here we look at the alignment. Your knee should not be falling inside. So if I was here, your knee should not be falling here. If it is going in the middle, when we are not strong, it tends to go there. Come on up. It'll straighten itself out. So the knee should kind of track the second toe. So it should be, you should be, if you're looking, I should be able to see my big toe. It should not, it never, hardly ever goes out. It tends to, people tend to drop it in. So just keep it in the middle. The back foot needs to be completely planted. So people have a tendency to lift it off. Make sure it's completely planted. When it's not planted, you're going to hurt the back knee. So coming back to it. So your hands, you can, if your hands are tired like this, you can raise your palm upward. So this is a good look at your back leg. Make sure it's lining well. Your outer edge of your left foot is planted firmly. Your right knee is tracking on the second toe. Inhale. Exhale, let's do a reverse warrior. Make sure both the outer edge of the foot is still planted. Your right or your left knee is not dropping in the middle. Inhale, come back here. And now we'll do an extended side angle. Exhale, let's do an extended side angle. The left elbow on the left thigh. Sweep your hands up and let's take it and extend it forward. Don't collapse. Extend it forward. Keep yourself raised from here. Make sure you look down and see your knee is still not falling inside. Inhale, come back up. And now we will do turn to warrior one. So in warrior one, you're going to shift a little bit. You're going to take the back leg a little bit wider. So when I was here, so that was one line. Then when I come forward, I take this leg a little
towards the side. I move this leg, so I widen the stance. Now, this is where people end up doing wrong. If your stance is not wide enough and your left foot is not like kind of looking towards the front, it can be 100% front. Then when you shift your pelvis forward, you tend to twist the back knee. So it is very important. If you do not have the motion in your pelvis, you will actually have to do high lunge. So here's what I'll tell you. So you go into warrior one. You're going to make sure the left knee is still tracking on the left second toe. The right foot is kind of pointing forward. It's a wide stance. Your hip is rotated forward. If you feel like your back knee is getting twisted, just come on your tippy toes. So the back foot then comes on the tippy toes and this becomes a high lunge. So sometimes this protects the knee. You can take your arms overhead. If I go back, I'm going to go like this. Big inhale. Exhale. Let's bring our hands down. And let's take a left foot back, down facing dog. Pedal your knees. Drop your chest, lift your hips up. Make sure your downward facing dog is looking good. And with your next inhale, bring the left foot forward, drop your right knee. So now we are having this low lunge on the right quads. So basically now you're getting a stretch on the right quads. Make sure you get a good stretch. Curl your toes, inhale, exhale, bring the right foot forward. So now you're in a forward bend, bend your knees to be there. So don't lock your knees. A little bit bend is good actually. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, drop your hips. Inhale, come on up. Exhale to heart center. Right away, let's take an inhale, arms overhead. Let's do another chair pose. So chair pose is one of the best poses for your knee, even though it's hard. So here we're going to again take 3 breaths. Inhale. In time. And the last one. Let's exhale and let's come to the floor. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Bend your knees, drop your hips. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale to heart center. Let's do it on the other side. Inhale, Tadasana. Exhale to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead, slide back, bend. You're a little more warmer now. Exhale, dive down. This time, inhale, take the right leg back. Drop the knee. We're going to do a little stretch again on this side. Take a couple breaths. With your next inhale, curl your toes. Inhale, hold your breath. Take the left foot back. Bring your body forward a little bit. Exhale, drop your knees, chest and chin. Keep your elbows hugged. Flatten your foot, inhale, upward facing dog. Take a couple breaths here. Curl your toes, exhale, downward facing dog. Now pedal your knees again. And we're going to do now everything that we did on the other side, warrior 2 and then warrior 1. So inhale, bring the right foot forward, plant your left foot at 45 degrees, come on up. Again, let's track it. So the right knee, make sure it's tracking on the second toe. You can look at your great toe. Left foot is planted firmly. The outer edge is what you're more worried about. So plant it firmly. Arms straight if it's available. If you don't like your arms, you can even put it behind your back and in the back, so you're kind of opening up your chest. Make sure your knee is not dropping inside. Keep it outside. Big inhale, turn the right palm up to the ceiling. Exhale, let's do a reverse warrior. Make sure you're still planted firmly. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, extended side angle. The extended side angle can look like this. Some people are even able to drop it to the floor. It's up to you. Again, make sure the outer edge is still planted. You can even take this left hand behind you, keeping this over the thigh. I'm making sure it's keeping it open. I'm not letting it drop inside. Inhale, come on up. And then we'll do the warrior one. So now you're going to take the left foot stance a little wider. The left toes are pointing a little forward, and you will rotate the pelvis forward and inhale arm overhead. If this is uncomfortable, come on your tippy toes. This is your high lunge. So instead of trying to push it where you can do it, just come like this. Again, make sure your right knee is not falling inward. So I'm teaching you this, which you can continue every day in your yoga practice. So if I was here, big inhale, exhale. Let's take the hands down and let's go into downward facing dog. My oil is having a nice smell there. It seems pretty warm now. Let's pedal our knees. Great. With your next inhale, bring your right foot forward, drop your left knee, flatten your foot, low lunge. Couple breaths. Inhale, curl your toes. Exhale, left foot forward. Relax, forward fold. Keep your knees slightly bent. Never overextend so never lock your knee. That is another reason people have injuries, not just with yoga, but also in the gym. They tend to lock their knees. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, drop your knees. Come on up. Exhale to heart center. Let me make sure what's my time looking like. Okay. Inhale, arms overhead. Third time, you're going to go into chair pose. Exhale into chair pose. If you find too much, just be a little bit higher up. If the arms here are bothering you, you can keep the arms in the back, but the knees should not go too forward. Exhale, forward fold. Hold both your big toes. So you can do this way. Again, make sure you're not locking the knees. If you find it better, you can also slide your hands underneath the toes. Keep your knees slightly bent. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, use your biceps, active forward fold. Every time you inhale, you kind of lengthen the spine. Exhale, go more into the fold. So now you're stretching the back of the hamstrings. You need all the muscles to be loosened up. Release your hands. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. We will do a little bit of sitting postures, and we anyway have to go there. So let's widen our stance and go into Malasana Anybody who cannot go into Malasana, come on tippy toes and then sit down. So this is where you would start, because if you're not able to sit. If you can go onto it, then you just go on your both feet, arms to heart center, spine straight, and look ahead. The idea is back straight, so if you tend to go like this, just come up, that'll make your back straight. Or put a couple pillows behind you, it'll make your back straight. And with this, let's come back, sitting down. Let's bring both of soles of our feet together. We also have to open up the medial aspect. So we just not to get tight on the outer aspect and on the inner aspect. So let's bring the sole of the feet together. Interlace your fingers around the toes. Sit up straight. This time, see if you can, when you're going forward, push your thighs with or your calves with the elbows. So inhale, exhale, go forward, chest leaning forward, back straight, pushing. I can reach my calves kind of in the middle between the calf and the thigh. So I push it down, opening up the hip. Inhale, come on up. And then let's come to some of the, I think that's all I want to show you. I don't think let me think. Oh, there is one more pose that really helps with the knee. That is the bridge pose. So let's just do the bridge pose, but then I want to sit up and do the massages, okay? So let's do the bridge pose. Let's lay down on the back. Let's bring our heel closer to us. Our fingers can just scrape the heels if it reaches there. It doesn't have to hold it, it just scrapes here. Keep the whole time, make sure your knees stay hip distance apart. So this is very important. Inhale, flatten your back. So basically your pelvis is tucked in. Exhale, let's lift your butt off the mat. So if this is what is available to you, make sure wherever you are, you're keeping your knees parallel to each other, where you started. So they shouldn't go out. That's the tendency. If they're going out, come down a little bit. Whatever is the spot where your knees don't flare out, that is the spot for you. If you go more than that, you're going to hurt your knee. So if I can go only till here, that's fine. It's more important that your knees remain aligned. Sometimes it also helps to come on tippy toes. And with that, let's bring the vertebra down a little bit. Since we did that pose, let's hug the knees, Pavan Muktasan, because we always want to do a counter pose. Okay, with that, I would like to sit down and teach you some of the massages. Massage is very, very helpful for any joint pain. It is pretty scientific. When we look at Ayurvedic and there is a science behind it. It's not traditional folk medicine. There is a science. I cannot go into all the science behind it, but I find that there is, every medicinal, these are all medicinal oils. Every oil or every food can be medicinal if we understand how it works. So the oil that we most beneficial for your joints is either you can use mustard oil or sesame oil is very good for a joint massage. So you can use mustard oil where you can just use plain mustard oil. That is what I'm using today. Or you can use, little mustard oil with methi seeds or fenugreek seeds in it and heat it up a little bit. So fenugreek is also very warming. and very calming for the joints. So it kind of gives the moisture. So the hot warm oil gives heat and moisture to the joint, which is what we need, because what we end up lacking is some moisture. So I'm going to bring the camera just a little bit closer. Now, the reason, if you guys have some oil, you can, get some oil. If not, that's fine. We will just, you just learn some of the strokes, and then when you have the need, you can always. So this is my oil. It's already very warm. I'm going to turn it up. Not going to use too much oil because I don't want everything to get spoiled. But basically, you will expose your knee. You can be, I tend to do this in front of TV. Just take a dip, a tiny little oil. Warm now. And then first I'm just going to apply it. Now, this is what I wanted to talk to you about. This is the patella bone. See how movable it is. So feel your patella. Just pick up your patella and feel. It should be completely loose up there. If it is stuck, so a lot of people, so don't flex your foot. Your foot is just loose. So this patella, if it's not moving completely, you are somewhere, some of the muscles have tightened up. So you're going to move this patella. And so what I do is, you will take these muscles, this is quads, and then there is these tendons here, and there's the fascia over the tendon. They have become tightened, and if my patella is pulled up, which is for a lot of people with walking and running, or even doing sometimes Pilates, and I'm going to take this muscle and I'm going to take it down. So even if, now don't have to have oil. You can also, sometimes when I'm sitting in front of TV or something, I do it without oil because I'm not going to wait for the oil. So see if you can start doing that. So take from up there, take it down, 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 hold your patella down and just hold there. So this is one of the best. If I'm going up the steps and I feel something, what am I going to do first thing? This is what I'm going to do the first thing. I'm going to just find it, and it completely relieves it. So let's take it down. Let's do it one more time. So I'm going to hold, hold, hold. So I'm pushing the patella down. Even if you go for physical therapy, this is one of them that they will tape the patella. They'll take up, there is a PT, physical therapy tape. They'll take the patella and basically tape it down. The idea is this is what they're trying to accomplish. So I'm going to push it down. So I'm kind of releasing the patella from the top. Now the second exercise to do is I want to release the patella from below. So I'm going to take it from below, push it up, up, and then around the patella. So I'm going to take it and push it around the patella. Let's do it very gently 2 more times. I guess let's just do two times everything because otherwise it will be too long. So once you have done like from down to up, then you're going to try to release the patella from the medial aspect. So a lot of times, if you feel the patella, it's kind of moving in one direction, but not moving in the other. So one or the other side is tight. So you're going to take both your hands and you can start from below and kind of massage, do circular motions and release your, sometimes you can even find a spot that's very tight. So your fascia has become tighter. So you're going to release that fascia. So whether you do it this way or you take both your hands and do circular motions around it. So for me, I don't have pain here now, but when I wasn't well aligned in my yoga, I would get pain and I wouldn't understand why. I'm doing yoga, I should not have pain, but if I'm not tracking my knee right, then I end up having pain here. So a lot of people will have pain here because they are just not doing any kind of stretches, especially the medial muscle. They'll go for a walk and only stretch the quads and the back, but not the medial. So then just do a thigh massage here. Then I'm just doing circular, releasing that. You can take both hands. And then let's do it on the outer aspect. Now here, the outer aspect, it gets tight. It gets tight. And of course, this is your ligament here, which gets very tight. So let's do, you can take both your hands and just make circular motions coming up. So you really don't need, for releasing this, you don't need to go to physical therapy. You don't need somebody else to do it for you. You really can do it yourself. So sometimes you'll find certain people are tight. You will find yourself tight on one spot, like I can find a spot here, just rub the spot. So we are releasing the fascia. So there is something called muscle. Muscle attaches to the bone with a tendon. And then there's this slimy sheet over it. You know, when if you're eating chicken, you know that slimy sheet that you pull over the meat, that's the fascia. Fascia, when it gets tight, it takes longer. That's why we use foam rollers, or we use, so this is one thing. Some people will also do, so this is generally, this is where you're basically releasing it from all sides. Feel your joint, it will feel a little looser, and that is all we want. So if you had just, if nothing else, I would just sit and push it down, and while doing it, you can release it. So this is very important. Of course, we are not, do you guys want to do it on the other side? We can. Hey, let's see how much time we have. If you don't have the time, well, we have a little time. So if you want, let's do it on the other. This one I will do without any oil. So you know that it can be done without the oil. Oil is therapy. So right now I'm not having any pain, so I don't need the therapy. So I'm just going to, even the fact that I'm doing dry massage, I'm creating heat. So I'm going to push it down and hold it there. Push it down and hold it there. If it's dry, it feels good. Imagine what it will feel if you apply the oil. Now let's take both the hands and let's take it from below and come on up. My son got injured with left knee pain last year. He was in crutches for a while, and all his x-rays, MRI were negative. So they were saying, well, he's got nothing, but his pain was so bad. He was on muscle relaxant and pain medication, nothing was working. And then eventually I thought, you know what, let me just try mustard oil massage. And I did that for like 4 or 5 days, and his pain completely went away. So this kid who was going every day to school with crutches was running around and did his track. So it is very, very therapeutic. So it's treatment. It's not just pokey. It's not just folk medicine. Now let's go on the medial aspect and do some massages on the medial aspect. And once you do it on the medial aspect, you can go on the lateral aspect, and let's do it on the lateral. Lateral means the outer aspect. If one hand you want to rest in the back and that makes you stable. I seem to have more spot on the outer aspect. I'll use a little hot oil there. It is also a good one to do before you sleep. So I'm going, you know, if I keep this candle warmer in the bedroom or in the bathroom, and then if I need it, the oil is just warmed up, and before going to sleep, you can just massage yourself a little bit. If you're having pain, if you're not having any pain, then that's fine. You don't have to do it, but it is always good for the joint to get some oil from the outside. So it does get absorbed. Skin is that's why we tend to have, if you're using anything on the skin, for example, you're using all kind of chemicals to clean your bathroom, that not just through inhalation, but also through touch, the toxins go in your body. Skin is the biggest surface of absorption, so it will absorb through the body. So once you, now the other spot that sometimes bothers in people, there is a spot, anserine bursitis it's called. It's right on the medial aspect, so on the inside, it's a little bit lower. So you can massage your anserine bursitis too. So anserine bursitis is a diagnosis that when this bursa, there's a bursa there, it gets inflamed from walking. Then you can also extend this massage onto your shin if you have been walking, especially uphill, and you're feeling some sort of a muscle aches and pains. So it always helps. So that's that with that. I also wanted to go over then, I have written it down too, but if you guys want to, you can always listen in the video, but certain Ayurvedic tips, so by Ayurvedic, we say that if there is joint pain, so your vata is increased. So there is, there are 3 doshas, or our constitution is made up of 3 doshas, the vata, pitta, and kapha. And when the vata is increased, which is more of the air and ether element, then you have more of joint pains. So we do different things. Vata is very drying and very cold. That's why we do warming stuff. So one of the biggest thing you can do is warm water. So if you drink, people who drink cold water, iced tea, iced drinks, Pepsi, any kind of those drinks, or even just plain ice water, or even cold milk, they will have tendency for more joint pains. So the first thing you want to do is start having warm liquids. Warm water, even in this weather, warm water, and I'm not talking about hot water, but warm water all day long, especially if you're having joint pain, then you want to make sure you are doing that. It is good anyway because it improves your lymphatic drainage, but especially if you're having joint pain, then switch over to warm water for the time being so that you can get that better. The other aspect you can do is add herbal teas to your diet. They're also very, very effective. There is a tea, you can even Google it. It's called CCF tea. It is, CCF stands for cumin, coriander, and fennel. So you would do 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of coriander, 1 teaspoon of fennel, and you would boil it like in 4 cups of water, and then you would just drink it during the day. You can also always do it lesser quantity if you want to, but like it's 1 part, 1 part, 1 part. The other thing to add in that would be ginger. So if you are anyway a tea drinker, then I would suggest that in your chai, you make sure you start adding more ginger, wet ginger. Wet ginger is very good in calming the vata. So ginger is extremely good for knee pains. So go ahead and try the CCF tea with ginger, or if you're having chai, then make sure you're adding ginger to it. Some people even like to have a little bit of black pepper in their tea, and that's also very good for, very warming for the joint. The other thing, if you're having more joint pain, especially for women as they grow past menopause, it is very drying. So women will have even more joint pains, and for that, ghee is very important. So ghee is, if you're having really joint pain, then we're saying at least a half teaspoon of ghee in each meal. You can also at bedtime have warm milk with ghee and turmeric in it. So turmeric is anti-inflammatory. We know that, now we are getting turmeric capsules. It is always better to have fresh turmeric. Why? Because turmeric contains, it's a rhizome, which contains many ingredients in it, versus the turmeric tablets only has curcumin. So they have extracted, this is the modern way that you extract one ingredient and you call it a turmeric tablet. But they want to say that's the only active ingredient, but actually, every part of nature is as important. So it is so you can add turmeric and turmeric to food also, but turmeric with a glass of warm milk or with ghee at bedtime. Some people also add nutmeg. I like the nutmeg because it's also good for sleep. So those are calming for your knee from the standpoint. The other thing, if it's really bothering you, if you're much severe, you're not just have knee pain, but you have multiple joint pains, then ajwain water ajwain is called carom seeds. So those seeds, ajwain water is very good. You take 1/4 teaspoon of ajwain seeds and boil it in 1 glass of water, and then you have that. And ajwain takes away. So when you have bloating, that is vata increased.
And that is vata is increased not just in for bloating, but it is also increased. So people who have more bloating tend to have more joint pain. They tend to have, so gassy people, you will notice, will have more joint pain. They'll have more headache on the back of their head. They will have more rough skin, dry skin, chapped lips, dry hair, breaking hair. So Ajwain water will work for all of them. The other thing that you can use if you want a little more substances, which is like a little more therapeutic, you would do fenugreek seeds. So you would take 1 part shunti or dry ginger powder, and you would take 1 part fenugreek seeds and 1 part turmeric, and then you boil it in water and then have it twice a day. So that's very good for you. I think that is what I have for you today. If anyone has any more questions on that. Now, in terms of vegetables, gas producing vegetables, so nightshade plants have been known to cause more joint pain. So whether it's eggplants and other nightshade plants, you want to watch for that. Also, if beans and all are causing you more problem, then use hing. When you soak your chana, or you soak any of the overnight when you're soaking, soak it in water, but you also soak it in hing or asafoetida. So asafoetida is very good for, again, warming. So using for such people who have joint pains, using asafoetida in diet becomes very important. A lot of lentils and beans, people are getting very bloated these days with it. So make sure you're using asafoetida while soaking. And when you are after soaking in the morning, you're throwing that water and then replacing that water. You don't use that water because that water will take out some of the stuff that is not good for you. And then you, when you're cooking also, you're putting asafoetida in there. So that is another thing that will work very well. Fruits, you can pretty much have a lot of fruits. Sweet fruits will be better. Sour fruits will increase more. So like oranges will tend to increase more joint pains. So having more sweet fruits are, like right now the season of mango, you can have your, well done mango. So it's not like the kacham, not that kind of raw mango, but really so those are good for you. That's about what I have. Like you can have a lot of, especially at postmenopausal, if you're having joint pains, or even younger people, like my son, he has joint pain. He refuses to change his ice cream and cookies. So then, of course, he has to suffer more. But if he did, then instead, if he did warm vegetable soups at night, that would be fine. Kind of those kind of things are better for you. So if you were, instead of having cold salads, if you do even saute the salad, so it is so much better if you saute the salad and a little bit of oil. So that is better, especially if you're having joint pain. So those are my things with joint pains, especially with your knee pains, massages, sukshma kriya, and the other. Anybody has any questions on that? We are at 7:54. If not, we can also do some of the breathing exercises, pranayam. The best pranayam, because again, we create more body heat. It is good for your joint pains. The breathing exercises that can work really well for your joint pain is Ujjayi breath and Brahmari and Anulom Vilom. So Anulom Vilom, we know that. For Brahmari, we can do a little bit of Brahmari today. There's only 5 minutes left. So we can do a little Brahmari. So if you want, we can sit for Brahmari. You might already, some people might know it, but basically it's the honeybee sound. So you are going to take your thumbs and you're going to plant it here on the medial aspect. So this is that little bone here. I'm going to plant it right in front. So we're closing both the earlobes. Then you're going to place the index finger on the forehead. You're going to place the middle finger right here. You place the ring finger underneath the eyes, and then the last finger in the cheek. You're going to take an inhale. I'll show it to you one time. Inhale. Then you'll do the kumbhak. So you'll say, sort of, if I inhale for a breath of 4, I'm going to hold for a breath of 4. And when I exhale, I'm going to make a B sound. So that is the ideal way to do it. No pranayama is complete without a holding, but because we're doing for the first time, we can just inhale and exhale with the B sound. So I'm going to keep it here. Inhale. Let's do it 3 more times. Last time. Bring your hands down. Feel that calmness that it brings because you've closed all the external sounds and just went inside. So Brahmari is a very good exercise for you to do if you are also having a lot of thoughts. If you are getting anxious, if you cannot, you sit down for meditation and you say, I cannot meditate, don't worry about it. Do like 10 rounds of Brahmari and Anulom Vilom. While doing Anulom Vilom, your mind may go here and there, but by doing Brahmari, it really can't go anywhere. You're just involved in your B sound. So it is a very good sound to calm your mind. Even during 5 times, I feel very calm. So that's it for today as far as yogasana for joint pain, especially knee pain. And so with that, we will be doing now Bhagavad Gita. Let me move my table. Oh, now I'm unmuted. I was not able to unmute myself. Vandana, can you mute yourself?
Okay.
Yeah. So now let's begin Bhagavad Gita. And we are going to do verse 11 and verse 12. So any questions or thoughts on what we did last time? If not, let's begin with chapter 3, verse 11. So, Surendarji, you want to go? Oh. Oh, okay, okay. Okay, looks like people can't unmute themselves. So let me ask them. Okay. Well, looks like they're going to take a little time.
I'm good.
Oh, you can now? Okay.
Then,
okay. Oh, okay, go ahead. Okay, go ahead.
So 11. Through sacrifice, you cherish the gods, devas, and they cherish you. Thus, loving one another, you reap the very highest. After giving the way of sacrifice, he says, come on. If you do this, the devas, the divine things, will be happy with your sacrifice. So offer everything to the divine beings, and in their turn, let them bless you. In this way, you are helping each other. Here, the devas need not literally mean some beings up there. All are divine. When you sacrifice your life and do things for others' sake, the others in return will do the same for you. Their goodwill is always present. As Thiruvalluvar says in Thirukukural, if a person has decided to stay away from killing to eat, he will not kill. He will not eat meat. Neither does he kill, nor does he eat what is killed by others. Such a person will be worshipped by all the creatures of the world. They will simply love him, praise and worship him. Even a wild dog will wag his tail at such a person, sensing he is non-violent. You haven't caused violence to any animal. They know that. Don't think that only we have modern scientific communication. The plant and animal kingdoms have their own communication media. If you have saved the life of an animal somewhere, and if you come across another animal who may not be of the same species, it will express its gratitude. Yes, you saved my brother. I know I got the message. If you sacrifice for others, then all the souls will appreciate your sacrifice and bless you. Thus, ultimately, you will reap the supreme blessing.
Yeah. So let's, go a little deeper and try to understand this verse. This is the first verse where the word Dev will come in. So far, so what does this mean? Are we now talking religion? So let's go there. So, Devan bhaviyat anena. Te deva bhaviyantuvaha. So, Devan bhaviyat. Bhaviyat means sustain, or when we do something in alignment. Anen means by the sacrificial attitude. So, by the sacrificial attitude, when we sustain or when we please or when we prosper these Devan, so we will go much into these Devan. Who are these Deva that we are with our sacrifice are pleasing? Te deva bhavyantu vaha. Vaha means you. So when you, by those sacrificial attitude, please the deva, te mean those deva bhavyantu. They are pleased or they will nourish you. So when you nourish them, they nourish you. Parasparam bhavyanta. Parasparam means mutual, one another. When you do this mutual bhavyanta, when you do this mutual sustenance, mutual alignment, mutual pleasing, mutual nourishing, Shreya Param Avakyasat. So Shreya. So if you remember, the Shreya means is the good. We talked about there's Preya and there's Shreya. Arjun had asked in the beginning of the third chapter that, you know, the second verse of the third chapter, he had said that, you know, you are really confusing my mind, right? So tell me one path, which is Shreya Aham Apnuyam. So I mean, which is the path, which is the good for me? What is good for me? Tell me. So the word Shreya was used. So now he's giving you, because he's still talking about the first step to Karma Yoga, which is the path of where the first step is yagna. Now, so a couple things to understand what does yagna means. Then, so we talked a little bit about that. And then what does this deva mean? So to understand this, first of all, I was thinking about this. So yagna is the clear meaning is not actually sacrifice. But it also can be taken as worship. So imagine when you do yagna, what are you doing? You're worshiping, right? Or you're expressing gratitude. So that is the English translation sometimes becomes difficult because the word sacrifice can seem like I'm sacrificing myself, right? I'm somehow doing something to myself, like I'm becoming a doormat, for example, right? I have to somehow become a doormat. There is that it can bring a certain imagery, right? Every word has a certain imagery. It can bring an imagery which is not what Krishna is saying. So when we do yagna, the mode of the intention is worship. The intention is offering gratitude. So when we are doing by these worshipping attitudes, with these gratitudinal attitudes, with this sacrificial, from that standpoint, yagna attitude, when we sustain devas are, you know, when we look at the traditional, the Vedic meaning, then devas were what? They were the forces of nature. So there was a wind god, because they were considered, the forces of nature had names. So there was the wind god, the fire god, the sun god, anything that sustains us. So the water. So these were they used the word deva to mean that they were these forces of nature. So when we live, what it means is then, if we sustain or worship the forces of nature, then the forces of nature will take care of us. The other way also the deva can be also interpreted. Now think a little more about it. So how does it translate? What am I doing? If you're at work, how does it matter? There is no forces of nature. Deva is something higher ideal. So when I work towards a higher ideal, when I worship a higher ideal, the higher ideal rewards me. So we live in that attitude. We're not, so if you go to work just so you can, because you've been paid a salary and you're supposed to, you know, show up, and there are enough, you know, the employers, you know, really are looking for employees who will be in that living for a higher vision of the company. But there's so many employees that are not able to do that. But they're wanting the rewards, but they don't know how to live, because they're going to work with the attitude, what can I get out of it? How can today I can get something out of it? How can I be better than my colleague? How can I? So they're only living for themselves. But if we work in a job situation, if we translate this in a job situation, if we work for higher ideal, the higher ideal will reward you. So I am going to work with the attitude of yagna, which is the attitude of worship to the higher ideal, deva. The deva will reward me. So the higher ideal will nourish me. In the end, I will get the acknowledgement and the money, the bonus, but actually I am not working for that. I am working for the higher idea. Same way you can think if you're an entrepreneur. If you are focused on the bottom line alone, then you are not going to last too long. But if you are focused to the higher ideal of customer service, how do I help my customer the best? How do I be of service to my client? How do I be of service? So that is what Deva is. If you go even one step further, the Deva is within us and within you, right? So when we say Namaste, my divine in me is worshipping the divine in you. In that way, the I, when in the form of worship, nourish you, you having been nourished will nourish me. In this mutual nourishment, the highest Shreya, Param means the highest, Avapsya shall be achieved. The highest good, not what is prayer, what is your immediate good, not what is good for your ego, not what is good for your senses, but the highest good will be achieved when you sacrifice yourself or when you offer yourself for the higher ideal. Now this, we can take it from human being to human being, that here I am going to, what am I sacrificing? Now look at it a little more in terms of the sthula sharir or sukshma sharir and karana sharir. I am sacrificing this separation of you and me. So instead of me being at, say, if I am meeting a family member or if I'm meeting a friend, instead of me, Annamaya Kosha, interacting with your Annamaya Kosha, I mean, I am interacting with, this physical body is interacting with you. Then I'm separated from you because I'm thinking I'm separate, you know, I may be a woman and of different culture and you're a woman of different culture. I'm a different color, you're a different color. I'm a different race, you're a different race. Because I'm looking only at the superficial. But if you are working in this yagna attitude, you are working for something deeper. You're sacrificing this external for something sukshma. Now I could be working from my level of mind and intellect to your mind and intellect. So I am not, I'm interacting with you at a different plane. And then I could go further, drop that plane also. And in the sacrificial mode, I drop my physical plane, I drop my sukshma sharir, and I am operating, I'm talking to you, but I'm operating from my bliss body and without you even knowing, accessing your bliss body. So in that interaction, you will say, oh, it was so nice to meet her or him. I felt good. What happened? I accessed my bliss body. And from there, I'm accessed. So I'm yagna is that process of dropping your outer for your internal. Yagna is also another word for yoga. So yoga, another word for yoga is yagna, which means sacrificing your outer being for your inner being. That is the whole yoga practice, is you're sacrificing one layer for the next layer. So you could also look at it, if I were doing it diagrammatically, the Devan is one level higher than where you are today. So if you are at the level of, senses today, you can consider dropping your level of senses and going, which is, you know, your senses are connected to your manas, your ego, which is your ahankar, and your mundane mind, everyday mind. This is what is controlling, right? Your senses. You are going to drop this, and instead you're going to operate from the level of your wisdom, which is this is your wisdom body, the intellect. Eventually you will, so every time you, instead of you saying, you know, if you're feeling you're in a bad mood, what do? You know what you're saying is wrong, but you still spit it out to your spouse. You don't want to do it, but it's just burning you and you just have to say it. Once you say it, then you're like, oh, I know what I said was wrong. I know you're not always like this, but I just had to get it out. What are we doing? Our senses were operating, something triggered it, and the mundane mind and the ego we are operating. Yagna means in that
You're going to drop it from that level and go to one higher level, which is your wisdom, which means you're going to say, you know what? I really want to say that, but I'm going to hold on and sleep over it. Maybe I'm going to just meditate for 10 minutes over it. Maybe I'm going to listen to something. Maybe I'm just going to not say it this time. Because you develop your sanskar like this, right? Once we say it, next time, this saying will deposit as a memory in your chitta. That is your sanskar. Every time some thought comes, you vomit it out, and then you apologize, and then another sanskar. So if you have to break the sanskar, how do you break it? You at some point have to tell you, okay, I'm dropping it. This is the yagna practice. Now you go to your wisdom. Then the wisdom, once you start operating from the wisdom, your output will, next morning you will wake up with a lot more, you'll be like, okay, no, I do, this is my sanskar. I tend to always vomit it out, but on second thought, no, that's not what he actually, or she is not actually meaning that. You drop that. Gradually, your chitta, you drop your intellect and you operate where your chitta becomes more and more pure. Eventually, you drop that and go to your Atman, your individual soul. And from Atman, then, you go to the universal intelligence and the higher connecting. So yagna is dropping the lower for the higher. We ourselves, it's very hard, right? If you're at work and somebody said something nasty, you want to right away react. Yagna is the practice of holding it and operating from a higher level. So when you will do from that, it will reward you. And because you will operate from that, the nature will reward you, and that is for your highest good. If you operate from this only, this is prayer, which is the immediate pleasure. There is something called prayer, and then there is something called shreya, your higher good. Arjun is asking for the higher good. Some people may say, I don't even care. I am happy just vomiting it out. Somebody says something, you know what? I give my opinion. So I'm going to say whatever I want to say. This is my nature. I'm speaking the truth. We know people do that, or we may have done it sometimes. That is like operating from your senses right away, right? Your motor senses wants to vomit it out. Some people want to hit somebody. That's you using your arms. You can be hearing and then vomiting it out. So there are different ways you vomit, right? Through your mouth, through your punches, through your attitude. So all that we are using, that's the prayer method. But Arjuna and we are Arjuns, we are wanting to learn what is higher good for us. And for higher good, we have to sacrifice something. We have to sacrifice our ego, or sacrifice our senses a little bit. And it is a practice. It's not going to happen in one day. You're going to find yourself caught up in that situation. And then you're going to be like, okay, just this one last time, I'm going to react. And then that's you dropping it. So that is what he means by deva. So if you go into sometimes Bhagavad Gita is irrelevant if you just take it as literally some deva sitting up there, because at the end of the day, those are all images that we have created, right? And in that image creation, if we don't understand the deeper meaning, what are they? Then you're just living in your imaginary world. But actually, this is the higher meaning. There is so this is what I wanted to say about this verse. The Shreya word is very important. And then the Deva word is very important. So when we do anything for higher ideal, then the higher ideal will reward you. So this is the secret to success. Secret to success is success. Now let's define success. So if we look at success, because I keep saying Karma Yoga is the method to success. Success is at 3 levels, right? At the very minimum, success would be at 3 levels. So some people today in material world, it's very important. Money is important. We all want to have nice things, basic comfort. So if we look at success, I think there is 2 C's, right? There are 3 levels. One is the material level, where you want to have money and, fame, if that is what you want, recognition, acknowledgement, awards, bonuses. That is at material level. So success at material level is not a bad thing. So it's not like you have to be poor. But then there is the success at the mental level.
So manasik, if your mental level is not stable, if you are not able to sleep at night, you have lots of money, but you're having sleep issues, or you're getting up at 2 o'clock and tweeting, then you are really not, or you are spending hours, or your mind is very chaotic, you have anxiety. Can you call yourself a success even you have money? If you're basically just unhappiness within, or some sort of anger, somebody has lots of anger or jealousy, so these are the different modes which will cause the mental success, right? So we want to have money, but then we want to be happy or not. So that is a success. And then there is the spiritual success. So mental success also is not always everlasting unless you have spiritual success. Spiritual success is where joy and peace are, where now you are peaceful without anything. So if you want to reach the spiritual success, for that is where you need to be in the process of karma, where you need peace and joy independent of the circumstances. Then you do the yagna. So if yagna is not important, then today you meet somebody, you are happy. Tomorrow you meet another person, you are unhappy. Everybody can press your button. Or somebody, you like, oh, I just, one of the Facebook posts, I thought talked about how you don't know me. My character is my own, but my character depends on me. My attitude depends on you. That's like lack of spiritual success, right? Because the attitude, the reason is depending because there is no growth here. So their attitude is controlled by somebody else. Now, what does that mean? If their attitude is controlled by somebody else, then they're going to be unhappy when they're coming home from a party today. Everybody was good to them, so they were happy. Then even one person acted bad. They don't have mental success, spiritual success, no grounding, but they have money. So that is where karma, yagna will come into play. Because even if you are in say even at a bar or you are at a party where there are 10 people, totally 10 different kinds. Somebody loves alcohol, somebody loves to gossip, somebody loves to be sarcastic, somebody is very nice. So you have all the variety. But if you drop your annamaya kosha, if you drop your sthulasha, if you are ready to do yagna in that interaction and can look at the divine of that person who is otherwise gossipy with everybody else will still like you, will still talk nicely to you, because your bliss body will interact with their bliss body. But it takes an effort, right? Because our ego comes in the way. It wants to not do that. But then you come home and then you are unhappy. So what was the point of going? So if you want to go. But if you go in the process of yagna, you'll come back home happy. If you don't, then you're coming back home. So the whole point was lost because you went there to have fun, but you came back, with 10 issues, and then you have to talk to 10 other people to get it out of your system, right? So that is what normally, if we are not aware, we are doing. So that is what is, if you go in with a higher ideal, in even something as mundane as a party, that will serve you and the highest good will come out of it. If you don't, then in the immediate, you would have blurted something also stupid. Or even if you didn't blurt it, your senses took it, you were burning inside, no shreya is going to come out of it, right? So you sacrifice the lower for the higher. And sometimes it is we at this stage can practice it before going. So suppose some situations trigger you. Say, for example, some family gatherings trigger you, or some parties trigger you, some friends trigger you. You go reading one verse of Gita like this and then go. You'll be fine. You will have a better day. And then you'll tell me that, yeah, it was good. So that's the point. Now let's go to the second verse. Does that make sense? Any questions on that? Okay, so then let's go to verse number 12. And yeah, Surendraji, you can continue.
Number 12, cherished by your spirit of sacrifice, the gods give you everything you want. But remember, whoever receives gifts from the gods without offering anything back is a thief. There are 5 types of giving and taking. The Gita gives names to them. If you take 100%, and don't give anything in return, you can be called a thief. If you take 100% and give 50%, you are a debtor. If you take 100% and give 100%, you are a good business person. That's how business should be done. Give in return for what is received. If a business person gets $10, he or she should be sure to give $10 worth of goods or services. That's fair business. Next, if you take 50% and give 100%, you are called righteous person. But if someone takes nothing and gives even 10%, 15%, or 100%, whatever possible, who do you call that person? A saint, a yogi? We should always examine our transactions and discover in which category we put ourselves. 1, thief. 2, debtor. 3, business person. 4, righteous person. Or 5, a saint. And if you are already 1, try to be 2. If you're already 2, try to promote yourself to 3. Stop not until the 5th category is reached. It's nice to keep this information handy. Yagna is so beautiful. So much could be said about it. The whole life is an offering.
Yeah. Yeah, that one is actually a very good way of putting it, and we'll talk more. So the verse actually is Ishtan Bhogan Hiva Deva. So Dasyante Yagna Bhavita. So let's go from Yagna means the sacrificial or the worshipping attitude or the gratitude attitude. Bhavita means satisfied or sustained or honored by that. So by this sacrificial attitude of yours, satisfied by this sacrificial attitude of yours, the Deva, Dasyante, will grant. He means certainly, Ishtan Bhogan means the desired necessities of life unto you. So satisfied with your sacrificial attitude, these devas, mean we have figured out what are the devas, will certainly, so he's kind of repeating what he said there, that all your desired necessities, the only word here different, it is not just the Shreya they are going to fulfill, what is highest good for you, but also the desired, Ishtan, mean the desired necessities of life will also be fulfilled. Tay datan apradaya aibhya. So yah bhunte stenam evasam. So things that are, that these things that have been granted to you, if you buy them, but if you take them without offering it anything, and you enjoy them, so bhunte, if you enjoy, he who enjoys, yah bhunte, mean he who enjoys them without offering, without a pradaya, then Krishna is very clear, he calls him stenaha, thief. Eva saha, that person is verily a thief. So, so if you enjoy the desired necessities without offering, that person is a thief. So, this is also first time he's again been very clearly telling you. Stenaha word is also important. Everybody likes to talk about yoga, either they're doing yoga. First of all, the word is actually, let's correct it, the word is actually yoga. So yoga is not even a word, the word is yoga. Yoga, when you English transliteration, like we said, if you write in Hindi, it is yoga. It was never, there's no word like yoga. And yoga, which is in Hindi, when you do an English ga is an English transliteration. So ga in English is written as GA. But if it was yoga, then English transliteration means there was a society, a European society that figured out how do we turn Sanskrit into English? Because there are more alphabets in Sanskrit than in English. So how do you make it? So they said if any alphabet has an R element to it, we will do Y, O, G, A, and we will do a this diacritic mark, it's called, over it. So if it were any word is written with this line on top, A, if A is written a line on top, then we say it as A. But yoga is written like this, it's actually silent. Because if you take this out, because in Sanskrit or Hindi, there are 3 types of ga, right? There is ga, half ga. So basically that's what it is. Every alphabet, English translation, this is ga, but then there is ga, and then there is ga, right? So that half in a sentence would be E. The ga would be G-A with a diacritic mark, and ga would be G-A. So yoga. So this yoga that we are so much now talking about in, has spread to the West and wonderfully spread to the West. But anytime you talk of yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga, right? So in the 8 limbs, the first very limb is yama. Right? What is yama? Yama are the rules of social conduct. So before you even get to asana is the yama. So right here in this verse, Krishna is introducing one of the first yamas of yoga. So because that's why the biggest book of yoga philosophy is Gita, Bhagavad Gita. So he's going to introduce pretty much everything. So yoga, there are 8 limbs of yoga. The first one, the 8 limbs, Ashtanga Yoga. So what is the purpose of the 8 limbs? It is the ultimate purpose is Samadhi. Samadhi means the ultimate union that you can have, or the ultimate self-realization you can have. To reach there, the 8 limbs. The first very limb is Yama. Yama means the rules of social conduct or universal laws. So what are the Yama? The yama is what we will not go into other limbs. Asana is the 3rd limb. So we did the asana. Then we also did some of the pranayam. And pranayam, which is the breathing exercise for a prana, your life energy. Ayam means expansion of life energy. So you get more expansive. That is the pranayam. So the first limb is yama. Yama. The very first in that is ahimsa. So when ahimsa does not means no harming alone. So it's not like non-violence. Non-violence is a half truth of ahimsa. Ahimsa is not just a negative absence of violence, but it is also positive giving of love. So ahimsa is, Mahatma Gandhi talked about ahimsa, and that's how how he applied it, that it is not a negative absence of harming, but also a positive giving of love. That does not mean you suppress to the enemy or the evildoer, but you actually use all your power of love against his will. So that is ahimsa. So before we think we are yogi, which has become a common term to use, this is the one thing that we need to think about, ahimsa. So when you are even thinking of something negative, somebody as negative, or you're wishing somebody negative, that is also hinsa, right? That's also having a negative thought, violent thought. Or if you say you're not giving positive love to everyone, that can also come in ahimsa. The second one is satya, which is speaking the truth. And in truth, you have to be careful. Truth is not at the expense of ahimsa. So I'm not going to kadava sacha, the bitter truth. I speak the truth. So no matter what, so I'm going to do hinsa in the process of telling the truth. I'm only speaking the truth. Whatever is truth is what I say. Sachi bol rahe hain, usme hum kya kar rahe hain? That kind of language. So that is the very important aspect of yoga. So if you are expecting an internal growth, then think about these things. Ahimsa, satya. Third one is asteya. And that is where the word stena is coming from. Asteya is non-stealing. Steya. So now in this one he said, If you are taking but not giving in return, then you are a thief. And right in the first one comes the word asteya, which is a non-stealing. Non-stealing is not just actual literal meaning of stealing, but using something for purpose other than the universe intended it for. So wrong use of something is also stealing for the purpose of, so if, for example, even, so somebody did good to you, the universal law is you're going to do good, but if you don't, and we will discuss more, that is where Krishna is saying you are a thief. So it is that, and then also using a wrong. So if you are, for example, even something as somebody has, the sexuality has been given for your divine growth. But if you objectify the woman, and if you are using it only for your self-pleasure, you are using us there. What has been given to you as a means for elevation, you're using it. So nature is given you for different purpose. For procreation and for spiritual elevation, you're using it for wrong person. So that's asteya. Fourth is brahmacharya. So I don't know if you can see down there. Oh yeah, you can. Okay. Brahmacharya, Brahma. So this is also very wrongly understood. So Brahma means the ultimate divine knowledge, right? So the means to achieve the ultimate divine knowledge. That's why when kids were younger, they were in the phase of brahmacharya, which means that was the time when in the first 25 years they spent in getting all this Veda knowledge. Kids at that time used to be in brahmacharya. They were learning all the Vedas, Bhagavad Gita at a much younger age. Now, how would we translate it? Moderation. So brahmacharya is not like, oh, I'm celibacy. It is about having moderation in all your senses. So if you're overeating or you're over any senses, if you're overusing the senses, including your sexual organs, then you are doing wrong. If you are, so brahmacharya is having moderation and using it for the right purpose. That's brahmacharya. And the fifth one is aparigraha or non-hoarding. Aparigraha is non-hoarding, mean you use what you need for your needs right now. So not like, how people today want to just accumulate. So that is one of the things you see with yogis, they start dropping everything, okay, I want to give up everything. But that is not kind of, I'm not saying, oh, don't collect your retirement fund, you need your 401k and IRA. But I'm saying it's not over hoarding, where people are collecting too much, it's a, I saw this huge sign of Nordstrom sale. I don't know if anyone saw. I mean, I've never seen Nordstrom have this big yellow sign. And now I don't need anything, but I decide to go there anyway. So I have no need, but I say, okay, so that is a hoarding, right? Because you really have no need, but let me buy because it's on sale. It's 50% off. It's 80% off. Let me just buy it. Someday it'll come in handy. That is kind of hoarding. So parigraha, if you're in that kind of growth, why you don't need to hoard anything, whether it's food, whether it's people, none of it. So in this verse, one of the things I wanted to make sure you understand is the word stenaha, the thief. What is this thief? We also have to look with here, what he's also talking about is this. So you got it? These are the 5 limbs. Yama we talked about. So important to remember these things, because if you say to anybody that you practice yoga, I'm going to ask you, what do you practice? Because are you practicing, even trying to practice the yama, niyama? Or are you just doing some acrobatic postures and you're thinking you're doing yoga? So that's one aspect, stenaha. Now let's look at stenaha from this aspect. So he's saying that the second line, that if you enjoy all these necessities without offering it to them, offering it to devas, then you are a thief. I want to bring it back to, for example, a situation where you are at, I like to give examples of us people. So either you're at work or home, you are either, or an entrepreneur, right? This is the category we are all in. So if you're at work and you're getting a salary, so if you're getting a salary, which is what you are getting something, but in return, you don't give you 100%. If you are just there killing your time, you know how sometimes people have five tea breaks or 5-10 cigarette breaks. So basically it becomes where they're wasting time. They know what they're doing, but they're still not a great employee. They're not working or giving back. Then Krishna is very clear, that person is a thief. So whatever responsibility you are going above and beyond or not, that is one way. Or even in spouse, and suppose one spouse is devoted to the other spouse, so yagna, so one spouse is doing for the other spouse in the spirit of yagna, but the other spouse is not giving back the same mode of, they are operating from completely selfish mode, then that person is a thief. So in a relationship also, one can be a thief if one person is giving. So if suppose one is doing karma yoga, mean one is working in that mode of where they have dropped their own selfish reasons, where they have dropped their own sometimes annamaya kosha needs or whatever, and they're really doing it in the service, and the other person is just routine. It's not like they're doing anything bad. They suppose the wife is operating from a spirit of, first of all, the wife needs to examine if she's really operating from the spirit of karma yoga, or is she also just resenting and doing, what she has to do. So suppose the wife is truly doing in the spirit of karma yoga, and the husband is earning money. He's doing karma, right? He's earning money. She's a homemaker, but he comes home and he's not in gratitude to her. He's not acknowledging. He's not in gratitude. His attitude is not gratitude. Then he is a thief. Or if he was working and he's doing everything for his wife, and she is enjoying all that, but she is more operating from my life, I want to have convenience and comfort and convenience, and she's cooking, she's doing all the right things, but it's not in the spirit of karma yoga, then she is a thief. So in a relationship also, both parties ideally need to be in the spirit of karma yoga. If you are not, you still do because my karma yoga, if I am in the spirit of karma yoga, and you have to remember, the benefit comes to the karma yogi only. The other person, if he's a thief, the mental success, the spiritual success is zero there. So the person, the deva, will nourish me. This kind of sacrifice is basically nourishing me. So if my elevation, my spiritual elevation is independent of what your behavior is, my spiritual elevation is based on my behavior. My mental happiness is based on my behavior. My spiritual happiness, joy is based on my attitude, my origination of thought, not yours. You do what you do, you get the outcome of it. See? So this universal law that what you do, you reap that, is in that for ultimate peace and joy, if you operate from the spirit of karma, from yagna, that is the first step. All your desires, the highest good will come to you, that we learn. And all your ishtan bhogan, all the necessary desires of life will be fulfilled. That is what Krishna is saying. I want to make sure that I am, yeah. So then he talked about one very important thing, and that is what are the two modes of living he's talked about when Surendarji was reading it. There are basically, you're basically two modes of living. So let's talk about the two modes of living. One is living from your ego. So that is, the ego is a prison. You are never free from if you are living from your ego, you are in that ego prison. Or you're living from the soul, which is your freedom. It's a free space. You are not dependent on anybody. So here he's talking, when we talked about in the description of the verse, the ego prison operates
is then it is actually at the end of the day an inferior mode of living. There are 4 ways. One is somebody gave you that 100% and you gave 0. That is, Krishna has called him a thief. Further elaboration will come later. So you gave 0%. So then you are definitely a thief. This is an inferior mode of living. Somebody gave you 100% and you gave back 50%. Then you're in debt, right? You didn't do what responsibility, whether you are a janitor or you're the president. You are in debt for the universal law. And what does that mean? You are never in this stable, happy mode. You are up and down. It is a prison you're living in. So then that if it is 50% or any kind of percent, then you are in debt. You're a debtor. If you are equal, I get paid this much, so I do this much job. I am a babysitter. I've been told this. I do it by the book. Nothing extra. Nobody told me as a babysitter I need to be love and compassionate. It's not written anywhere. I'm supposed to give the food to the child. I am doing exactly what was written, right? So you gave back 100% in that capacity. So that is the business person. And a lot of business people think, well, this is a higher mode of living. I'm giving 100%. But this is also an inferior mode because you're still operating from the ego. Now you give up 200%. Somebody gave you 100%. You said, I'm going to give you 200%. I am self-righteous. I'm so great, right? I give more, right? And the soul freedom is that you give your 100% while you are receiving 0%. Now 0% doesn't mean zero money, zero nothing. That's not what it means. It means you are performing irrespective based on. So if I have been given a job of a janitor, I am going to clean that bathroom like nobody's business, because I will consider that bathroom as my dharma. Then I am a yogi. A yogi doesn't mean somebody who's sitting meditating. In karma, it is in that complete process of yajna. If I am a student, then I'm going to do that with 100%, irrespective of whether, so I'm not looking at the transaction. I'm not being based, because as long as I'm based on the transaction, I'm operating in the mind. They gave me $50, but they paid me babysitter $12, but I did so much extra for them. You're still operating from that. But if you do that in the mode, you still get paid $12. You may actually get a little bit extra bonus also because they were so good. But you did it in the spirit while doing it. You were doing it to what you thought was the right thing, because maybe the child was little too wired up that day. Maybe you needed to go extra length and give extra love to the child. Maybe, something else, maybe that tummy hurt. Maybe something else happened. You went out of the way. Not because that is what is the right thing. You're not even the right thing to do. That is what you know the best way to do. And so you will still get the same, maybe even more. So that is what is very important in this verse he brings up. So the first one itself is a theme. But even the other 4 are really when we say inferior mode, you can live there, no problem. But you yourself are going to have too many fluctuations. But if you live from the perspective of, 9 minutes. If you live from the perspective of highest good. Other one last thing before we sit down. So sacrificing, I wanted to touch on one point, and then I want to end it. Yagna means sacrificing your external for the deeper, right? So if you are if you are volunteering somewhere, and if you're volunteering, some people think volunteering means I'm doing karma. If you're doing karma, but if you're not in the spirit of yagna, then the seesaw is like this. You are the volunteer and you're helping the inferior person. They need help. Poor, homeless, poor people. You are always working in this because you're making yourself sit somewhere higher. You're not in the process of karma yoga. You are going there to hell. You know how great you are? Because you're not in the process. You're operating from the physical to physical. I've got something, and these third world countries sitting poorly in Africa, I'm going to Africa to serve because I'm so good. This is invariably with volunteering. There are a lot of volunteer organizations that teach volunteers not to think in this direction. So then the other aspect is, if you're not volunteering and you are a job and you're not in the mode of sacrifice, or not even in job, you could be in any relation with this hierarchy, then the seesaw is like this. You are A and your boss is B. They're always sitting higher than you. There's somebody always higher than you. You're always operating from the level of, you are the big boss. So it is never going to be a position you will reach where you are the supreme. So then you're constantly in this position. So life is seesaw. But if you are in the mode of, if you are ready to sacrifice your Annamaya Kosha, and then you're ready to sacrifice your Pranamaya Kosha, your Manomaya Kosha, your Vijnanamaya Kosha, or the Sukshma Sharira, and then you are operating, say, from the bliss body, even just there, we're not even going to Atman. If you're operating from your bliss body to this bliss body, me, namaste, right? My divine in me is divine. Then your seesaw will always be, you're never going to be on a seesaw. You meet a boss or you meet a volunteer, you are always operating in this way. There is an even exchange. This is where stability comes in. So yagna is, where, somebody might say, oh, you have a lot of confidence. It's not confidence. It's operating in the process of karma. So you don't have any hesitation in talking to bosses, and you're not looking down to somebody who's like, oh, I'm helping. So that is one of the things I want to talk about. And with that, let's, I think that's all I had. Any thoughts, any comments? If not, then we do need to do the Anulom Vilom. Anulom Vilom, yeah.
Can you discuss now or after doing this Anulom Vilom we'll discuss?
Yeah, so 9 o'clock we have to get done with this. So
okay.
Do is if we can stay on the Zoom call after that, and but we will stop the transmission for Bharatakan. So we can. Okay. If there is a question related to this, you can ask. If there is a question beyond this, then we can discuss it. Do you have a question related to this?
No, related to this, I have. I don't have any questions.
Okay. So then let's finish the Anulom Vilom, and then we will just stay online and then stay on the Zoom. Okay. Okay. So for Anulom Vilom, we will sit in comfortable position, and then you are going to breathe first from your left nostril, and then you're going to hold, and then breathe out from the right nostril, and then you're going to hold. For right now, we have been doing count of 7. 7 in, 7 hold, 7 out, 7 hold. So Purak, Kumbhak, Rechak, and Kumbhak. So if you cannot do 7, do 2, do 4, do 5, whatever. But right now we have been doing equal. So you can begin. I'm going to mute myself so everybody can focus. So with that, we will bring our YogaLeher GeetaMehek to a close today. And we'll see you next Thursday. And what I'm going to start next Thursday is chakra, asanas for, and yoga and different things for each chakra. So we will talk about the 7 chakras, and each week we'll do 1 chakra. So instead of different, we will talk about how to balance each chakra with asana, with the Ayurvedic, with different therapies. So with that, namaste everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Namaste. Thank you, Anisha.
Thank you. I think it's 9 o'clock.
Thank you.